Let me ask you something. If I gave you two paths right now, one leads to the life you dream of, the other leads to pain and regret, which one would you take? Your choices today, how you spend your time, what you eat, how you treat people, whether you push through or give up, don't just affect today. They stack up, they compound. They either move you toward your best life or they slowly drag you toward regret. Think about this. Have you ever met someone who's incredibly successful and wondered, how did they get there? We tend to believe it was one big breakthrough, one stroke of luck, one moment that changed everything. But that's a lie. Success doesn't happen in a single moment. It happens in a million small, unseen moments. It's waking up early when you don't feel like it. It's saying no to distractions. It's doing the hard work even when no one is clapping for you. It's making the extra effort when most people would quit. And over time, those small actions build into something massive. On the flip side, regret works the same way. No one wakes up one day suddenly broke, out of shape, or stuck in a life they hate. It happens slowly, one small compromise at a time. Skipping one workout doesn't ruin your health. Ignoring one opportunity doesn't wreck your future. But the problem is 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 10, and before you know it, you're looking back, wondering where it all went wrong. A 5-minute decision repeated daily determines where you end up. It's the difference between getting closer to your dreams or watching them slip away. It's the difference between a life of purpose or a life of regret. I want you to imagine 2 versions of yourself 5 years from now. One version looks back with pride, grateful for the discipline, for the sacrifices, for the work they put in. The other version looks back with disappointment, wishing they had done more. Who do you want to become? Because your future self is watching. And that person is going to feel one of 2 things: proud that you chose discipline, or crushed by the weight of regret. The choice is always yours. So choose wisely. You're going to pay a price in life. That's the reality. No one escapes it. The question is, will you pay the price of discipline or the price of regret? Because both demand something from you. Discipline is tough. It requires effort, consistency, and sacrifice. Waking up early when you want to sleep in, saying no to distractions, doing the hard work even when no one is watching. It's not always fun, but it builds something incredible. It builds confidence, momentum, and most importantly, the life you actually want. Regret, on the other hand, sneaks up on you. It doesn't hit all at once. It's quiet. It builds slowly over time, like a weight getting heavier every day. At first, skipping a workout doesn't seem like a big deal. Pushing off a dream for later feels harmless. But then weeks turn into months, months into years, and one day you wake up realizing you're stuck in a life you never wanted. And the worst part, you know it was in your control all along. The cost of discipline is discomfort. The cost of regret is devastation. And here's the thing. You don't get to avoid pain. You will either suffer the temporary pain of discipline or the lifelong pain of knowing you could have been more, done more, lived more. Your identity drives your actions. If you see yourself as someone who struggles with discipline, someone who starts strong but never follows through, that's exactly what your brain will reinforce. But if you shift that identity, if you decide, I am disciplined, I am unstoppable, I am committed, your actions will begin to reflect that. You don't need motivation to be disciplined. You don't need the perfect circumstances or the right mood. You need a decision, a standard, a non-negotiable commitment to becoming the kind of person who follows through, who keeps promises to themselves, who does what needs to be done, whether they feel like it or not. Because at the end of the day, discipline is not about what you do. It's about who you are becoming. And every choice you make is a vote for the future version of you. So ask yourself, are you voting for the person who rises or the person who regrets? Because the answer to that question will shape your entire life. Who are you? Because your actions will always align with the identity you hold for yourself. If you believe you're lazy, undisciplined, or someone who never follows through, that belief will dictate your choices. You'll hesitate, procrastinate, and make excuses. But if you decide right now that you are relentless, committed, and unstoppable, your actions will begin to reflect that. The shift doesn't happen when you achieve a goal. It happens the moment you change how you see yourself. The mistake most people make is waiting to feel disciplined before they act. They think motivation will strike like lightning, that one day they'll wake up and suddenly have the energy to do what needs to be done. But that's not how it works. Discipline isn't a feeling, it's a decision. It's choosing who you are and proving it through action, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one is watching. And just like a muscle, discipline gets stronger the more you use it. The first time you push past resistance, it's hard. Your brain wants to pull you back into comfort, into old habits, into what's familiar. But every time you override that voice and take action, you reinforce a new standard. You create momentum. And momentum is what separates those who succeed from those who spend their lives wishing they had. Most people quit the moment things get tough. They hit resistance, and instead of breaking through, they break down. But the ones who rise, the ones who achieve extraordinary results, they understand that discomfort is the price of growth. They don't run from it, they seek it out. They train their minds like a warrior trains their body, conditioning themselves to act no matter how they feel. Your future self is watching. That person is either going to thank you for the discipline you chose today or resent you for the comfort you chose instead. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you will either stand proud knowing you gave everything, or you will be weighed down by regret, knowing you let fear, doubt, and excuses steal the life you were meant to live. The choice is always yours, but understand this. If you don't choose discipline now, regret will choose you later. So decide today who you are and then prove it with action, because your future depends on it. Discipline isn't a talent, it's a muscle. And just like any muscle, the more you train it, the stronger it gets. The problem is that most people never train it long enough to see results. They start, they push a little, and the moment it gets uncomfortable, they retreat. They tell themselves they'll try again later, but later never comes. That's why most people never break through. They never stay in the discomfort long enough to grow. Your brain is wired to keep you safe, to avoid pain, to seek comfort. That's why discipline feels hard at first. It's your mind trying to protect you from struggle, but struggle is where strength is built. If you avoid it, you stay weak. If you embrace it, you become unstoppable. The key is to stop negotiating with yourself. Stop giving yourself an out. Stop waiting until you feel like it and start acting like the person you want to become. Every time you choose to push forward instead of quit, you're rewiring your mind. You're proving to yourself that you don't break, that you don't back down, that you are stronger than your excuses. Most people quit too soon, not realizing how close they were to a breakthrough. Don't be one of them. Stay in the discomfort. Push through the resistance and watch what happens when discipline becomes your new standard. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, the future version of you will look back at this moment. They will either be grateful for the discipline you chose or burdened by the regret of what you didn't do. Time doesn't stop. Every single day you are building your future, whether you're intentional about it or not. The question is, are you building a future you're proud of or one you wish you could change? The choices you make today don't just impact today, they create ripple effects. Every decision, whether to push forward or take the easy way out, adds up. Over time, those small choices determine the direction of your entire life. The scary part? Most people don't even realize they're making these choices. They coast through life reacting, waiting, delaying, only to wake up years later wondering how they ended up so far from where they wanted to be. You have the power to change that. Right now, in this moment, you can decide that you will not let regret be part of your story. You can choose discipline, not because it's easy, but because your future depends on it. If you don't take control of your habits, your mindset, and your actions, regret will take control of you. And there is nothing worse than looking back and knowing you could have done more, but you didn't. So what will it be? Discipline or regret? One will shape your life. One will define your future. You won't escape the price, so choose the one that leads to the life you deserve. At the end of the day, it all comes down to one truth. You will feel the weight of discipline or the weight of regret. One is temporary, the other lasts a lifetime. One pushes you toward growth, the other holds you back in pain. You don't get to avoid the struggle. Life will challenge you either way. But when you choose discipline, when you commit to showing up, pushing forward, and refusing to quit, you take control of your future. You build confidence. You create momentum. You become the kind of person who doesn't just dream, but does. But if you let excuses win, if you keep waiting for the right time, if you keep avoiding the discomfort, regret will catch up to you. And when it does, there are no do-overs. There is no reset button. The only way to avoid that pain is to choose discipline now. So this is your moment. Your future self is watching. Will they be proud? Will they be grateful that you made the tough choices, pushed through resistance, and built the life you wanted? Or will they be burdened by the regret of what could have been? The choice is yours, discipline or regret. You decide.